everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is something a little bit different. I have done videos like this in the past, but not for a while, and it's not really been something that's been majorly featured on my channel, but it's going to be a books I've read so far this year video. I've always been like a big reader, but like over the past few years I've probably not read as much as I used to, but that's sort of starting to pick back up now and I'm getting a lot more back into it. I used to read 20 books and so far I've read 12. So I'm going to be talking about those 12 in this video. And it also includes one audiobook, but I'm going to count that. So let's get right into it. So the first one I read is kind of random and it is My Mum, Tracy Beaker by Jacqueline Wilson. I was the biggest Jacqueline Wilson fan, biggest Tracy Beaker fan growing up. So my sister got this book, I think, because she also was, and I just wanted to read it because I kind of wanted to know, like when I saw it, I was like, yes, I need to read it. Like, it was a good book, obviously not the best, not the worst, because it is a children's book, but I enjoyed it. It was very nostalgic to read. Like, some of the stuff that was in there reminded me of the original and of the series and everything. So yeah, like, kind of random, but it was actually really good. The next book is P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han. So this is the sequel to All the Boys I've Loved Before, and I bought this and read this before the second film came out on Netflix, and I actually really enjoyed it. I read it really quickly. I just love like the aesthetic of Lara Jean, and like I just find it a really calming sort of book to read. So it's basically about, I'm sure everyone's read or watched it by now, so I'm just going to say it's basically about what happened when Lara Jean and Peter weren't pretending that they were in a relationship anymore, and now they really are. And it brings in some of the other letters and stuff, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I did read this quite a long time ago, so I can't remember loads about it, but I know that I enjoyed it, and I am going to be reading, I think there's one more in the series. Let me have a look. Can't see, but I'm pretty sure there's another one in the series, so I'm going to be reading that. The next one is also a sequel, and that is One of Us Is Next. So I read One of Us Is Lying, which is the prequel to this book, last year I think, and I really enjoyed it. It's sort of like a mystery high school romance-y book, like it kind of brings all of them in, and this one was sort of focusing on the siblings of the original children, because all the original children from One of Us Is Lying have sort of moved on, gone on to like their things, and now this is a new mystery on a new, with the younger children, but all their siblings sort of are involved, everyone's involved, and yeah, it was really good. Probably one of my favourite books that I've read. I feel like I'm going to say that about everyone, but it's just like such a page turner, amazing. And this is, I'd say this is when I was reading this one, it's when I suddenly got my love for reading back, so yeah. And this is by Karen M. McManus. The next one is the book that I read at the start of lockdown, and this is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. I love this book. It's kind of, can be a bit confusing to follow because the plot sort of intertwines all these different women from different ethnicities and different places, but they all live in Britain or have lived in Britain. I'm going to read you out the blurb because I think that's the best way of describing it. So it says, "This is Britain as you've never read it. This is Britain as it has never been told. From the top of the country to the bottom, across more than a century of change and growth and struggle in life, Girl, Woman, Other follows 12 very different characters on an entwined journey of discovery. It is the future, it is the past, it is fiction, it is history. It is a novel about who we are now." And the women in this book are all so amazing. They have such fascinating stories, and the way they all intertwine and link are really interesting. And like it says, it is Britain as you've never read it before. Like, you understand about different groups of people, different types of people, and how they are all living alongside each other. So yeah. Great book, definitely recommend it, amazing. And I think she's got some others as well. Yeah, she's got a few other books which I'm definitely going to be reading when I've got so many books to read, but like I've added them to my reading list and I will be reading them when I like next buy books. The next book I read was actually an audiobook, and that was Becoming by Michelle Obama. I listened to it as an audiobook because my mum did, and I just did as well. I don't really know why. But oh my god, what a book. Like, it was so good. She has such a fascinating and interesting life story, and it was so interesting to hear about her as a little girl, how she met Barack, and her time as the First Lady, and all she's done. And I just found it so inspirational. Just, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. There's also a documentary on Netflix to do with it that follows her book tour, which was also amazing. So the next books I read are a trilogy called the Spinster Club Trilogy by Holly Bourne. So me and my friends decided during lockdown, when we couldn't meet up, and we were like FaceTiming, but we didn't really have anything to talk about because none of us were doing anything because we were all just at home, that we would read the same book. So we chose this series because they had already like got them or something, so we just chose this series, and it was such a good series to choose to read with your friends because it focuses on these three best friends who form a club at college called the Spinster Club, which is essentially a club where they just talk about feminist issues, women's rights, etc. And the three books are following each of the individual girls. So this one is about Evie and her struggle with mental health. This is the first one in the series, and it really examines like life as a college student, so ages sort of 16 to 18. And I feel like that's kind of the age group that you don't always find in books. Well, for me anyway. The second one was Amber's story, and this one follows Amber and her relationship with her mum, who she goes to visit, and everything that happens over her summer when she's meeting her mum. It deals with topics such as relationships and alcoholism, which I think is really important to know about. And then the last one in the series was What's a Girl Got to Do? And this follows Lottie, who I think is my favourite of the girls, and her feminist revolution that she starts. So she starts a campaign where she calls out every bit of sexism she sees every day for 2 weeks. And it also follows, this book, as it's the last one in the series, also looks at them, how the girls are going to be parting ways, going to separate unis. And it sort of looks at the way that big unis as an institution could be sexist, and Lottie's way of dealing with that one. That's always been her dream, and the pressure that she is under at that time to sort of go to a good uni, because that's always been her dream. This book series, fab, amazing to read with your friends. I'm really glad that we chose it. It was such a good idea to do during lockdown as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Probably, like, I read them so quick. I was so sad when they were over. Next one I read, along with the rest of the country and the world, is Normal People by Sally Rooney. So my mum had read this book last year before the series came out. She thought it was amazing, she loved it, and then the series came out and we wanted to watch the series, but I really wanted to read the book first, so I read it. This essentially follows a boy called Connell and a girl called Marianne who live in Ireland, and it follows them during their time at school to sort of the end of university, and how they sort of grow together and their relationship together. It's kind of a hard book to explain, to be honest. I'm sure you've heard about it. Kind of like a dysfunctional relationship, but it sort of focuses on the communication issues between the two, and that is sort of I think, for me anyway, that is what the book is about. To be honest, I don't know if I love this book or if I hate this book. Like, I enjoyed reading it. It doesn't have speech marks, which really threw me off and was very weird. My mum didn't even notice, and I was like, this book doesn't have speech marks, it's so bizarre. And she was like, what do you mean? Yeah, it does. And I was like, no, it doesn't. Which kind of threw me off because it was confusing as to when it was someone's fault and when it was someone speaking. I think it's a really good examination of sort of communication and that age group again. And yeah, I think overall I did enjoy it, and the series is good. Definitely read the book before you watch the series, because I don't think I would have loved the series if I hadn't read the book. So the next one is super random, and that is Born Free by Joy Adamson. I read this one because it's my dad's favourite book. As you can see, it's really old. It was my nan's and my dad's. Now my dad has it. So this is basically the story, it's a true story about a couple who lived in Africa. I think they worked in like nature or something, I'm not too sure. And they basically found these lions. Actually no, that's not it. The man kills this man-eating lion, and then they found out that the lion has cubs. After they've killed the lion, they find out that the lion has cubs, so he takes them home and he and his wife raise them, and then they keep one of them for ages, like until she's fully grown. And then it follows how they sort of cared for her, how they started releasing her to the wild, and it was really interesting. I wouldn't have read it unless my dad had told me to, but I am glad. It was really interesting. Okay, and the last book I've read this year is probably one of my favourite books I've ever read, to be honest. I'm not really sure why. It took me a while to get into because I just was like stressed with uni work and stuff, but once I got into it, oh my god, I could not put it down. So that is Our Stop by Laura Jane Williams. This book is about a girl called Nadia and a boy called Daniel, who both get the same train every day. Daniel writes in the paper saying that he's noticed Nadia on the train, and the whole book sort of follows them getting to a point where they meet each other and them like they keep missing each other. It examines sort of modern dating, grief, female friendship, and also male friendship, which is something that isn't always looked at least in books I read. And yeah, I just love this book. I was crying so much at the end. I was just, yeah, I highly recommend this book. It's like a light read, but also super heavy, and like, I don't know, it's actually kind of hard to explain without giving too much away. But yeah, 100% recommend, 10 out of 10 book. Okay, so that is all the books I've read so far this year. I'm going to be definitely doing another one of these at the end of the year, or if I keep up on like reading more, I may start doing it monthly. So let me know what you think about that down below, and if you enjoyed it, and if you've read any of these books, or if you're going to. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on Wednesday with episode 3 of Coffee Chats. Oh wait, no. Episode 4 of Coffee Chats, I think. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Bye.